Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who found out that Evan Elder is fighting Darrius Flowers last night. I think short notice favors Evan Elder for sure. He hasn't shown any cardio issues, and Darrius Flowers has on a few different occasions. Losses of his. But Darrius Flowers, with the way he looked against Michael Johnson, which I thought he definitely lost that fight, no doubt about it. But I think cardio is not certain to fail with him. But here, under these circumstances, it's definitely more of an issue coming into this fight. So, possible. But as far as the durability goes in the MMA sense, that's also a strike against Darrius Flowers. He may have fought better fighters and more fighters than Evan Elder, but Darrius Flowers is the guy who I would trust to get finished first, whether it's by knockout or submission. Although in this matchup, considering how dangerous Darrius Flowers is on the feet, a knockout for him wouldn't completely surprise me. Evan Elder was cracked in his last fight against Genaro Valdez with a big shot, although I really liked the way he looked there. It was a big moment only because the punch was perfect, but Evan Elder looked like he was instantly recovered and reclaimed control of that round. But getting submitted, I would definitely favor Evan Elder to win by submission. I think both guys, frankly, have more grappling than meets the eye. I think each guy's got like one submission, and for Darrius Flowers, it's a TKO, really. But as amateurs, they have plenty of submission victories, and that's where they show more of their skills. I think Evan Elder, every submission I've seen him get was from a dominant position on top, and that is where I'd expect him to be if these two were grappling. And I think if he was able to get dominant position over Darrius Flowers, especially in the second half of the fight, or the second two-thirds of the fight, he could work his way to a submission. I would say he's much more likely than Darrius submitting him. Even though, again, Darrius Flowers has got a few arm bars, 4 or 5 arm bars as an amateur. So there's more than meets the eye with him. And he showed submission threats against Michael Johnson. That was a fight that impressed me. I think they took the fight. I think they had full camps or whatever anyway. But I've always had doubts about Darrius Flowers' cardio. And it wasn't an issue against Michael Johnson, even though there were plenty of other issues in that fight. As for the chins, like I said, I trust the chin of Evan Elder so far. He got cracked with a big shot, and he looked like he could handle it. And with everything else he's shown, he looks tough. Darrius Flowers, he's definitely the more dangerous guy on the feet, I'd say, but he's also the more vulnerable guy. He was knocked out by Bobby Volker, former UFC fighter, Strikeforce guy, and whatever. And Bobby Volker really won due to cardio, frankly. That was more of a cardio loss, where Darrius Flowers was having his way early and then couldn't put Bobby Volker away, and then he fell off a cliff and got TKO'd. But he was also TKO'd a few times as a boxer, and I've been able to see those. One was really more of a beatdown, and the other one was really a beatdown too, but one shot did sit him on his ass. So, I still think he's the more vulnerable guy anywhere the fight goes. And of course, with taking this fight on a day's notice, 2 days notice, I hope. I don't even know when they took this fight, or what weight it's at, frankly. But under the circumstances, I'd say, with my cardio doubts and Darrius Flowers, all these vulnerabilities are exacerbated, where a finish is definitely possible. I think on a full camp, I'd be picking Evan Elder to win by decision. But here, I guess it's my official pick. He wins by decision. But I still think a finish is totally possible. Evan Elder, I should mention, he's really tough to get out of there via submission. I know it seems like, why the fuck are you talking about that? Darrius Flowers has a few submissions as an amateur. Again, there's more than meets the eye. I may as well cover this part of the breakdown since I watched fucking 20 of their fights in the last fucking few hours. But Evan Elder, he's tough to get out of there. Really tough to get out of there. He showed against Preston Parsons, one of his 2 defeats, that he could handle it. Preston was dominating him, having his way with him, and Evan Elder, even though he really didn't mount much of an attack at all, he still showed he wasn't going to be an easy guy to get out of there. Preston Parsons, bigger, stronger, better on the ground, had him in plenty of different threats, deep arm triangle chokes, and Evan Elder survived. Also against Luis Pena, former UFC fighter. I believe that's the one guy to beat him as an amateur. It was a 9-minute fight, an amateur fight, but he still had dominant control over Evan Elder. And Evan Elder, deep into the 9-minute fight, was fending off subs, and he looked like he can survive with someone on his back for 90% of the fight. So I just trust the overall trait so far of Evan Elder, even though he doesn't have as deep a record as Darrius Flowers. I think Evan Elder is going to be tough to get out of there. If Darrius Flowers was to get him out of there, it would be the danger. Darrius Flowers on the feet is certainly more dangerous than Evan Elder, regardless of their records and how they match up and whatever. Darrius is the more dangerous guy. But again, I haven't seen any real weaknesses or any fragility in Evan Elder. So I think this is a favorable matchup for him under any circumstances. The pick is Evan Elder. I guess I'll go with him winning by decision, because they took the fight on 6 hours' notice, and that makes no fucking sense. But at plus 200, I'm not betting on that, even though it's tempting, just because I have so much doubt in the vulnerabilities. I have so much doubt in the durability, I should say, of Darrius Flowers. But yeah, if Darrius Flowers is going to win, I'd say it's by knockout. That's probably the case in a lot of his fights, but certainly in this fight, taking the fight on short notice. And if Evan Elder is going to win, I couldn't tell you how it would go. I think a finish down the stretch is more likely, especially if he's got to worry about all the danger of Darrius. If Darrius is both guys are probably not in top condition, but if Darrius is worried about his cardio, he might try to empty the tank and pour everything he has into round one while he's firing on all cylinders. So we'll see how it goes, but the stupid pick is Evan Elder via decision, and the bets do not exist for me. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos.